Hello everybody. I'm going to do something very special today, and anyways, not going to get much audio or video on this. It's mostly going to be audio, but let me show you this first. This is called a shadow box, and let me see if I can't get it to where we can see it pretty well. Top half, as you can see, is a picture with an actual piece of game jersey in it of John Elway. And the bottom half is, of course, the miniature Broncos helmet, and that's also signed by John Elway. And this thing is very custom. If I spin it around here a little bit on the back here, and I'll show you the certificates here of everything. Everything was certified on it. And no, I'm not selling this. And anyways, let me back it up here a little bit. I'm gonna try to back this camera up a little bit, and I can't do it to get a good enough shot. Try sideways. There you go. Anyways, you get the idea what this is. It's called a shadow box. You can look them up online or whatever. But anyways, what I am doing with this is I'm in the process of sending this back to Mr. John Elway with this letter. And I will read to you. This letter says, Mr. Elway, enclosed you will find a very custom, one-of-a-kind shadow box, which is all about you. I am returning this to you with the following explanation. I began watching the NFL almost 50 years ago. My favorite team then was Minnesota Vikings, even though I was in Ohio. I followed and watched the league as best I could, even while being on the road, going anywhere from California to Florida and many other places in between. Then in the late 70s, I joined the Air Force and spent time in Japan. After I was discharged in early 82, I moved to Denver, where at the time there were only two types of people. Either you was Bronco fan or wish you were, hence the word Broncomania. The next year, you became the starting quarterback. Even though we all struggled through 3 Super Bowl losses together, it was still a lot of fun. And actually began attending games, which I had a good lady friend who worked for the attorneys for the Broncos. I was orange and blue from head to foot. Big time fan. I even got to go to the AFC Championship game where Byner fumbled the ball. Those are great memories. Things really changed, though, after the last shellacking you took against the 49ers. I was still a fan, even went to some games. I took up driving a cab in 1990. I got to pass by the billboard where the man from the Fox radio sat up there for a while on a bet. Within a couple of months, I noticed a predominantly black section of town, while driving cab, mind you. The predominantly black section of town would fill up with calls on the 3rd day of the month. Not too many drivers would answer these calls. So I took it upon myself just to see what this was all about, for 1 month. So I answered 3 of them in a row. They were all 3 the same thing. It was a black man who just got his welfare check, going to get his monthly bucket of chicken. This probably still goes on today about 30 years later. Then in the mid-90s, I was living near out by Havana and Colfax in Denver, actually in Aurora. And I took a position dispatching tow trucks, which was about 6 blocks from where I was living. Job was second shift. I walked to work during the day, but I was only able to walk home my first 2 nights there due to the racism against me from the black community. They would follow me down the street, making noises and stuff at me, and basically telling me to get out of their neighborhood. And all I was doing was walking home. So, I actually had to spend money on a cab every night from then on to get home safely. It was during this time I became politically active after I found out, after I read, the real reason why cannabis and hemp had become illegal. I began petitioning in 1992 for legalization of hemp and cannabis. I was harassed by law enforcement and gangs for my efforts. I got my life threatened. I got threatened with arrest. Undismayed, I continued on up at the Capitol building in Denver for several years in the 90s. In all those protests, hundreds of them, not one window ever got broken. Not one Molotov cocktail was ever thrown. We all just had our signs, hemp products, and live bands there. Good time, Even though the prohibition of hemp and cannabis was all based on racism in the 1930s, there weren't too many black or Hispanic people who joined out with us. And it was around the year 2000 I began to lose interest in the league as a whole due to corporate involvement. Stadiums named after corporations instead of those who had contributed to the game. I was a bit disappointed, and then I watched, then I watched the players become political, and there is no excuse for that. I have now gone from being disappointed to be outright sickened by all major sports. I absolutely could not believe it when I saw players with criminals' names on their helmets while supporting a trained Marxist organization known as Black Lives Matter. After all the wars and fighting we have done so you could have the freedom to play football in a great arena, you want to disrespect the ones who fought and died to give you that privilege. Hank Williams Jr. says it best. Take a knee, take a hike. Get out! How would you feel if Jacob Blake had come in and raped your wife, Janet? I never figured the league would ever support career criminals. How would you feel if your car dealerships got torched like those in Kenosha did? And then you play the anthem of a domestic terror organization at the frickin' Super Bowl. Black Lives Matter. This supports Marxism. Criminal lives matter. Peyton Manning must be a racist because he didn't let Cam Newton win Super Bowl 50 during Black History Month. Oh, wait a minute. Nobody said anything about that. I guess that also makes Doug Williams a racist because he didn't let you win when it wasn't Black History Month. This is how ridiculous this is. This is also very sickening. And all the major sports leagues supporting the ruination of our country. Shame on you, John Elway. Shame on all of you. So here's your shadow box. I no longer wish to own this or anything else related to any major sports league. I will never watch another play. All my memories are now shattered. Either you stand for something or you will fall for anything. So stand up and be a man, John Elway. Go take up a collection to support all the businesses destroyed due to the rioting, looting, and arsoning that the league supports. Speak out. Step up to the plate and tell everyone how wrong this is. Or take a hike. Your choice. And that is signed from a former fan. Thank you for listening.